so we're going with Quicking as the podcast name. I like it, it's snappy, memorable, and suggests efficiency in learning English. Here's the updated podcast script with Quicking as the title. Quicking, your express pass to English fluency. Hey everyone, welcome back to Quicking, the podcast where we give you the express pass to English fluency, one episode at a time. I'm your host, John, and today we're diving into a topic that's super relevant for anyone learning English, especially if you're living in or visiting a country where English isn't the primary language. Navigating cultural nuances in English conversation. Beyond the grammar, the hidden rules of English. When we learn English, we spend so much time on grammar rules, vocabulary, pronunciation, and rightly so. Those are the foundations. But what about the stuff they don't teach you in textbooks? The subtle cues, the unwritten rules, the things that can make or break a conversation, even if your English is technically perfect? That's what cultural nuances are all about. Think about it. You might know all the words to politely decline an offer, but if you don't understand the expectation to soften your no with a "that's very kind of you, but." Or maybe another time, you might accidentally sound rude. Or maybe you're in a business meeting, and you're used to getting straight to the point, but in an English-speaking context, there might be a few minutes of small talk expected before you dive into the agenda. These are the kinds of things that can be really tricky, and frankly, a bit frustrating when you're not aware of them. The power of small talk, more than just chit-chat. Let's start with small talk. In many cultures, jumping straight into a serious topic is perfectly normal. But in English-speaking cultures, especially in the US, Canada, the UK, and Australia, small talk is a lubricant for conversation. It's how people connect, build rapport, and test the waters before getting into anything more substantial. What kind of topics are safe for small talk? The weather is always a classic, right? Lovely day, isn't it? Or looks like rain later. Current events are usually good, as long as they're not too controversial. Sports, if you know the other person is interested. Travel, hobbies, these are all great starting points. The key is to keep it light and avoid anything too personal or negative. You wouldn't want to start a conversation with someone you just met by complaining about your landlord, for example, and it's not just about what you say, but how you say it. Active listening is crucial. Ask follow-up questions. Show genuine interest. This isn't just about being polite, it's about building a connection. Direct versus indirect communication. The art of softening. Another big one is direct versus indirect communication. Many English-speaking cultures, particularly the British, tend to be more indirect in their communication. This means they might use phrases that seem like suggestions but are actually expectations. For example, instead of saying "do this," they might say "perhaps we could consider doing this?" Or it might be an idea to. If you're from a culture that's very direct, this can be incredibly confusing. You might think they're just being polite and giving you an option, when in reality, they're hinting at what they want you to do. The good news is, once you recognize this pattern, you can adjust your understanding. And when you're speaking English, try to incorporate some of these softening phrases yourself. Instead of "you're wrong," try "I see what you mean, but I have a slightly different perspective." Or "I'm not sure that's quite right." This also applies to giving feedback or criticism. Instead of "this report is terrible," you'd probably hear "I think there are some areas where this report could be strengthened," or "perhaps we could look at improving the clarity in this section." It's about preserving politeness and avoiding direct confrontation. Humor and sarcasm, a minefield or a masterpiece. Then there's humor, especially sarcasm. Oh boy, sarcasm. It's such a big part of English conversation, especially in the UK and to some extent in the US. Sarcasm is when you say the opposite of what you mean, usually to be funny or to make a point. For example, if it's pouring rain, you might say, "What lovely weather we're having." The challenge for English learners is recognizing it. It often relies on tone of voice and context. My advice. Start by observing. Listen to how native speakers use sarcasm and try to pick up on the cues. Don't be afraid to ask for clarification if you're unsure. You can always say, "Are you being sarcastic?" or "Are you joking?" Most native speakers will be happy to explain. And as you become more comfortable, you can start experimenting with it yourself, but maybe start with light-hearted sarcasm before you dive into anything too cutting. Asking for help and apologizing. The right way. Finally, let's touch on asking for help and apologizing. In English-speaking cultures, it's generally considered a sign of strength, not weakness, to ask for help when you need it. Don't struggle in silence. Phrases like, "Could you explain that again, please?" or "I'm not sure I understand that part" are perfectly acceptable. People generally appreciate it when you're honest about what you don't know, and apologizing, it's not just for when you've done something wrong. Sometimes, we apologize as a way to show empathy or acknowledge someone's inconvenience. "Oh, I'm so sorry you had to wait," even if it wasn't your fault, can go a long way. And when you do need to apologize for something, make it sincere. "I apologize for the misunderstanding," or "My apologies, I misread the email." Your homework: observe and experiment. So, how do you master these cultural nuances? It's not about memorizing a list of rules. It's about observation and experimentation. Pay attention to how native speakers interact. Watch English movies and TV shows, listen to podcasts like this one, and try to notice these subtle differences. When you're speaking, don't be afraid to try out new phrases or approaches. It's okay to make mistakes, that's how we learn. The more you immerse yourself and actively try to understand these cultural layers, the more natural and confident you'll become in your English conversations. That's all for today's episode of Quicking. I hope this has given you some food for thought and helped you feel a little more prepared to navigate the fascinating world of English cultural nuances. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review and share it with your friends who are also learning English. Until next time, keep practicing, keep observing, and keep accelerating your English with Quicking. Bye for now.